In Africa, many countries share a similar story, rich in natural resources, but struggling with poverty, corruption, and instability. Diamond-rich nations that remain poor, oil-producing countries that fail to develop, economies trapped in cycles of mismanagement. But there is one exception, a country that started as one of the poorest in the world and quietly became one of the most stable and successful economies in Africa. That country is Botswana. So the question is simple. How did Botswana succeed while so many others failed? And why is almost no one talking about it? Chapter 1. A very poor start. When Botswana gained independence from Britain in 1966, it was one of the poorest countries on earth. There was almost no infrastructure, only a handful of secondary schools, very limited health care, and almost no modern economy. At the time, many economists believed Botswana had little chance of success. It was landlocked, it had a small population, and it had extremely low development indicators. Most countries in this position struggle for decades, but Botswana had one critical advantage that changed everything. Diamonds. Shortly after independence, large diamond deposits were discovered. For many countries, this would have been a curse. Natural resources often lead to corruption, conflict, and economic dependency. But Botswana did something different. Chapter 2. Turning diamonds into development. Instead of allowing private groups or foreign powers to fully control its resources, Botswana negotiated one of the most successful resource partnerships in Africa. The government worked closely with De Beers to ensure that diamond revenue benefited the country. But the real difference was not just revenue. It was how the money was used. Instead of spending diamond wealth on short-term political gains, Botswana invested heavily in education, healthcare, infrastructure, public institutions. The government treated diamonds as a long-term development tool, not a quick cash source. This discipline created something rare in resource-rich countries: stability. While other nations fell into the resource curse, Botswana avoided it. Chapter 3. Institutions over chaos. One of Botswana's strongest advantages has been political stability. Since independence, Botswana has maintained a relatively stable democratic system. Elections are consistent. Leadership transitions are peaceful. Institutions remain strong and respected. This stability is crucial because investors don't just invest in resources, they invest in systems. Because of this, Botswana became one of the least corrupt countries in Africa. That reputation attracted foreign investment and helped build long-term economic confidence. While many countries focus on short-term power struggles, Botswana focused on building trust. And trust is one of the most valuable economic assets a country can have. Chapter 4. Slow but consistent growth. One of the most remarkable things about Botswana's success story is that it wasn't built overnight. There was no sudden economic miracle, no explosive boom that transformed the country in just a few years. Instead, Botswana followed a path that many governments find difficult to accept: slow, steady, and disciplined growth. For decades, the country focused on long-term development rather than short-term political popularity. When diamond revenues increased, the government resisted the temptation to spend recklessly. Instead, significant portions of that wealth were invested in public services, infrastructure, and financial reserves. This approach gave Botswana something many developing countries struggle to achieve: economic resilience. During periods of global uncertainty, Botswana often found itself in a stronger position than countries that had grown too dependent on debt or a single industry. The government also understood an important economic reality: diamonds would not last forever. Natural resources can create wealth, but they are finite. Eventually, production slows, markets change, and countries must find new ways to grow. Because of this, Botswana began looking beyond mining. Tourism became one of the country's most important industries, home to world-famous destinations such as the Okavango Delta and Chobe National Park. Botswana developed a tourism model focused on quality rather than quantity. Instead of mass tourism, the country promoted high-value tourism that protected wildlife while generating significant revenue. This strategy helped preserve Botswana's natural environment while creating jobs and attracting foreign visitors. At the same time, efforts were made to expand sectors such as financial services, agriculture, and business development. Although diamonds remain important, Botswana's leaders recognize that diversification will be essential for long-term stability. The results of this strategy can be seen across the country. Road networks expanded, healthcare improved, educational opportunities increased. Living standards rose significantly compared to the early years after independence. Of course, Botswana still faces challenges. Unemployment remains a concern, especially among younger people. Economic diversification is still a work in progress. And like any country, Botswana must continue adapting to a changing global economy. But compared to where it started in 1966, the transformation is extraordinary. A country once considered one of the poorest in the world has become one of Africa's most stable economies, not through luck alone, not simply because of diamonds, but because of decades of disciplined decisions, careful planning, and a commitment to building for the future rather than chasing short-term gains. And that may be the most important lesson Botswana offers the world. Real prosperity is rarely built quickly. It is built gradually, through consistency, patience, and strong institutions that continue working long after the headlines disappear. Botswana is not a global superpower. It doesn't dominate international headlines. It doesn't have the population of Nigeria, the industrial power of China, or the financial influence of the United States. In fact, many people outside of Africa know very little about Botswana at all. And yet, its story may be one of the most important economic success stories of the last half-century, because Botswana proves that wealth alone does not create prosperity. Many countries have discovered valuable resources. Many nations have struck oil, gas, gold, or diamonds. But history shows that natural wealth often creates as many problems as opportunities. Corruption, political instability, economic dependence, and in some cases, even conflict. Botswana chose a different path. Instead of treating its diamond wealth as a shortcut to success, it treated it as a foundation for the future. The country invested in education, healthcare, infrastructure, and institutions. It focused on long-term planning rather than short-term gains. And it built a system that could continue creating value long after the diamonds are gone. Of course, Botswana still faces challenges. Economic diversification remains a work in progress, and future generations will need to continue adapting to a rapidly changing world. But when you compare Botswana's journey to that of many other resource-rich nations, the difference becomes clear. Its success was never just about diamonds. It was about leadership. It was about discipline. And above all, it was about building institutions that people could trust. In a world where uncertainty often dominates the headlines, Botswana stands as a reminder that stability can be one of the most powerful advantages a nation can have. And perhaps the country's greatest lesson is this: resources may create opportunity, but strong institutions determine whether that opportunity becomes lasting prosperity. Before you go, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, make sure to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think about today's topic and what country or story you want us to cover next. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Atlas Aura and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. We post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m., covering the world's most fascinating economies, countries, and geopolitical stories. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.